Your reaction.
I mean,
this is just.
I mean, listen, you guys can make fun of me, and it's fine. But here is what I know. Mike Tomlin believes you can't come into our house on Monday Night Football and beat us. He believes that. And that there is, and he will, tell me if you think I'm wrong, I think he will message that to the team. I think that, and whether it's a placebo effect or not, I do think they have a slight psychological bump that this game is Monday night and not Saturday afternoon. I do
because
believe
it is
that.
record?
Yes, because if you've been coaching somewhere for 20 years and you've never lost in this setting, you're going to feel good about it.
Well, first of all, they have lost.
No, 12-0 at home. 12-0 at home. 22-3 overall. Sorry, bro.
I need my reading
Put
glasses.
your readers on. And so I think that's the biggest factor of this game? No, of course not. But I don't think it's nothing.
It's something.
And I think Mike Tomlin knows it's not nothing. That's all.
I would usually give Nick a hard time about this, but as a head coach, when you're at the podium, you know what you're saying. And when you specifically reference the Monday night component of this, that wasn't just a slip of the tongue, or he knows what he's saying, and he's sending a very strong message of like, yeah, we're really good in this environment, and we expect to be good again in this environment and on this day, because that was not an accident that he said that.
But is it just random, or the Steelers preparing in some unique way that gives them?
It doesn't matter why, as long as everybody believes that that's going to work.
Yeah, it's like in Space Jam, Mike's special stuff or whatever, with the water, Mike's secret stuff, whatever Bugs Bunny puts in the bottle with the water in Space Jam. That part never really made a lot of sense because they ran out of it and it was just water. And they were like, you don't need it. It was just water all along. It's all about on the inside. And it was like, dude, just fill it up with more water and just tell them it was clearly working. Just tell them that it's, I got plenty of it. But I mean, listen, this stuff works on younger players. Like, this isn't working on Aaron. This isn't working on TJ Watt. Like, I always talk about coach speak and how there's this brainwashing effect that happens with like a coach-player relationship in that regard. And listen, there's plenty of older players, too, that buy into that. I won't name names, but a couple of them are in the media, and you still hear them talk in a way where you're like, oh, wow, you haven't really, like, grown beyond the everything you've been fed. And, again, when you're younger, you buy into the messaging. I mean, you believe in things that your coach is saying to you because it's no different from when you're a kid, because a lot of these guys are kids, especially when they're being coached in, growing up into their sport, whether it's through high school or college or obviously the NFL. And it's no different than when you're a kid and your parents tell you, to do X, Y, and Z, to go to bed. If you don't go to bed, the tooth fairy's not going to come. That it's all different variations of that. And so you can have messaging, especially when you're younger, when a coach is like, we don't lose on Monday nights. And you're like, we don't lose on Monday nights. Like, that's who we are. That is what Pittsburgh represents. And like, yeah, you can like buy into it and you can get all fired up over it and all of that, but like, you still got a ball. You still got a ball. You still got to know. And I'm just telling you, Aaron Rodgers, and again, when you're a little bit old, especially when you get older, when you are at the age of like an Aaron or TJ, like, you'll recognize other players, and then it is kind of that balance where you're like, I see some players are still buying into that, and it's one of those things where you either go along with it because you recognize that's what's important, or you pop the bubble and you let them know that Santa Claus isn't real, where you're like, man, that doesn't matter. And that's the thing that is also when you kind of have toxic voices in a locker room, little things like that. A lot of times when someone says so-and-so is toxic in the locker, or he's just, not good for culture, like, a lot of times they undercut the messaging of a coach. So Mike Tomlin could be really pushing this message, and you can see some guys that are like really fired up and really believe in it, and they're like ready to go. And you can have another player who's like, man, that doesn't matter. This is playoffs. This is different. His record means nothing. And then it's just like you kind of undercut the message. So it is interesting because these are all the things that all coaching staffs and teams will do. It's obviously not the foundation of a take, right? I mean, it's just not. But I think at the end of the day, I just think it's more about the defense than anything else. And what can this defense limit the Texans? Because I just think this is going to be a true defensive battle. I've said this a million times now. Score is going to be like 13-10 or something. And then it's going to be all of those very little things that I believe that Aaron can do. And I'm just fascinated to see what Aaron looks like against this defense, because he's going to need to use all of his brains, his head to the maximum degree to work this defense, because it's not going to be able to be based off of just physicality and strength, etc., and speed. So I'm just really excited to see what that looks like, how he manipulates the defenses and all of that, because a lot of that is going to be all on his shoulders. And so what would a playoff win mean for Rodgers? A ton. I think we just get to, and they don't even answer this question, by the way, because then the segment just ends. It goes to commercial. So the thing is that a win for Aaron would be huge, and we get too lost in this idea that, like, you need to win a Super Bowl. You need to accomplish this larger-than-life feat in order to have something mean something or have it be meaningful. It'll be like what Tom Brady won a Super Bowl, and it's just like different players. They age differently. They are on different teams, had different careers, etc., etc. So just getting a playoff win alone would be a massive accomplishment here, considering Aaron tearing his Achilles going to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh hasn't won in, what, like a near decade, I think. I think their last playoff game was 2017. Their last playoff win, I think, was 2017, I think. Could get that, I could have that wrong. And, just seemingly having one last hera for Aaron, sometimes that's just good enough, man. Not everyone can just go win the Super Bowl. And I mean, I think about even Tom Brady, right? His last playoff game was awful. And I don't blame him. They had him throw the ball like 80 times. Like, just a disaster there. And, just the way it goes sometimes. So I think it would mean a lot. It'd be a cool thing to see. I think Pittsburgh would rally behind it. It would be exciting. If you win this game, there's no real way to know who you're playing next, because the Bills can beat the Jags, the Chargers can beat the Patriots. So, like, because of that, you just have no idea. Like, are you set up to play the 1 seed? It's just like you don't know. You could play the 1 seed, you could play the Broncos, which would be a fascinating matchup, because you're going up against another young team, mainly young quarterback more than anything. And it's like, okay, that'll be interesting. And if not, if it is a different matchup where maybe you're playing the Bills or something, I guess, right? Maybe you could technically play every team, but the Chargers, I guess, is what it would probably come down to, right? Yeah, because they're the 7 seed. So you could play the Jags theoretically, you could play the Bills, and you could play the Broncos or the Patriots, right? Am I doing that math right? Getting all twisted right now. But regardless of what I'm trying to emphasize is that you win this game, you're in a true position to win another playoff game. There'd be no reason. I always find it bizarre when people are like, this team can make a deep playoff run. Oh, they're one and done. And it's just like, what does that actually mean when you think about it? So if you win this playoff game, but then you lose the next round, that wasn't a deep playoff run. But if you win 2 playoff games, is that now considered a deep playoff run, because you would be getting to the AFC Championship game? And no one's going to refer to making the Super Bowl as a deep playoff run. So if you win 1 game, it's like not a deep playoff run. But you win 2, it's now a deep playoff run. And if you lose first round, you're just a one and done team. Like, there's not a huge spectrum. There's not a huge amount of separation between those things. Or when people say, I think they can reach a conference championship, but I don't think they can reach the Super Bowl. And it's like, so you can win 2 playoff games, but you can't win that 3rd. Like, that's the limit. Like, how does that make sense? So I'm never really going to be comfortable unless I feel so confident that I think a team is just not good enough and can't hang with the other teams around them. Like, I could understand why you would say that about, like, if the Bucks got into the playoffs, and you'd be like, all right, I could see them, maybe beating the 49ers if that's the way it unfolded or something like that. But like they're not beating the Rams, the Eagles, the blah blah. You know, like it's like I could see that, but especially this year, I'm just if the Steelers take down the Texans, why is not everything else completely on the table? Why not? Why would not every like why would we be so confident that they wouldn't be able to do anything else throughout the course of the playoffs? Like same thing with the Texans in a lot of ways as well. So a game like this is a G. Honestly, the first round for everyone, obviously, minus the bye teams. Like it's so fascinating because any team that wins to me is really going to be a large amount of validation for each individual team of like, this is not just a fun year or a great year for us. We can genuinely win and make a run, right? Like we're in a position to do damage specifically in the AFC. Maybe it's a little bit different in the NFC because you do have the Panthers and the Rams playing each other. You have the Bears playing the Packers. We'll see how healthy the Packers end up being in that moment. So that's a little bit different, but I think specifically in the AFC, I think any team that wins, it's going to be kind of like, hey, see, we got this. Patriots beat the Chargers. It's going to be like, see, Drake May is good. Stop worrying about him being, you know, a young quarterback and he's going to fail. The Chargers take down the Patriots. It's like, hey, man, clearly they can do work right now. They just took down the number 2 seed, right? Pittsburgh beats the Texans. It's like Texans have been an elite defense and a top team in the NFL and have took down the Chiefs, the Bills, the Jags, etc. Like this is no easy team. So you can just kind of keep going down the list here. So first round is going to be really telling and honestly will only make the next round of playoff games pretty brutal to predict, honestly. So, and I think the P and I think the Steelers are, you know, on the front lines of that as well, albeit they get to play last out of everyone else. But let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much.